I think AFoCO represents such a unique opportunity for learning and leverage for private capital purveyors in other regions. Not only is it a rich member-driven network with so much substance and so much meaningful programming that we see as untapped at the moment, I think there's a lot of value that can be unlocked if we're able to frame the AFoCO pipeline and the projects in the countries that they sit as investable over the long term. My name is Audrey Selian, and I'm a co-founder of Artha Networks. Artha Networks was formed as a spin-out of a wider initiative called Artha Impact that was focused on direct investment in emerging markets, and notably in India. And our goal has been to catalyze private capital for really meaningful, purpose-driven, positive businesses that include and uplift communities. The vision and mission of Artha Networks has been predicated on the idea that private capital and investment and essentially the capitalist system should be used to integrate community, to be inclusive of community, and to uplift underserved peoples. So our principal focus has been, how do we engage impact investors and mission-driven investors in the business of supporting projects that are meaningful and that deliver a double bottom line, both financial return and strong impact. Family offices, I think, are a very important segment of the private capital spectrum, largely because they are emerging now in greater numbers. They are extremely agile and able to be reactive in ways that institutional investors and fund vehicles perhaps may not be. That's not to say that family offices are easy to discover and easy necessarily to work with. I just think that they are able to be opportunistic, and particularly as time has passed, we see the engagement of a younger next generation, the inheritors of this great intergenerational wealth transfer that we're witnessing today. And the young ones in particular are very conscious of aspects of climate, of planet, of purpose, and of community. They're looking for meaning. And so to that end, there are very effective networks in place in various parts of the world where there's a lot of knowledge sharing, there's a lot of opportunity sharing, where they're then able to bring to bear the power of their private capital. And so I think it's a promising but difficult segment to penetrate, particularly for organizations like AFoCO that are very niche, that are very focused on areas that may not be as typically visible in terms of opportunity and deal pipelines to such private investors. But our goal is to try to help move the needle and transform that. I think it's important to remember that just because these various groups and clusters and families have great wealth, it doesn't mean that they know and they have all the answers, right? I think that the ability for them to have impact is a function of their openness to the learning curve. And yes, I think that question about reactivity is important. Just because they can be agile doesn't mean that family offices are going to get it right. And they are unfortunately or fortunately very driven by relationship and idiosyncrasy. It happens to work if you know and have a good relationship with somebody who's inside a family office. And if you don't, it can take you 4 to 5 years to cultivate that. So while I'm speaking to their ability to be reactive and agile as funders, it's very, very idiosyncratic. I think the key here, and this is one of the roles that Artha Networks is trying to play, is to create space where people can come together and build friendships, relationships, and trust so that opportunities can be better framed. And so it's not just a cold email coming in and a presentation deck that's being reviewed. It really has to be about that personal connection. Artha Networks couples advisory support and services with a technology platform, a digital tool that enables the capture of live opportunities so that discovery is made easier. We also do, coupled with the digital platform, we do a lot of physical convening and have done so for about 17 years in the form of our Impact for Breakfast network. And this is something that began really informally with the goal simply of sharing knowledge around a table with a cup of tea or coffee. But it's resulted in really a very diverse and dynamic community of practice where we've been able to glean learnings and share resources and cases and stories of success and failure and metrics. We've really been able to gather a lot of it, and it's been happening monthly for about 17 years. And today the model as we built it was to be transposed to other cities, to be able to allow other groups to do their gatherings in their cities, because we can't know it all. No single group and organization can or should own it all. And I think that distributed approach, which in some ways is reflective of the richness of the member-driven model of AFoCO, it must be on a distributed basis. So the IFB has grown, and it's a way for us to reach out to and get the inputs and share the knowledge and the opportunity landscape with mission-driven investors and advisors to investors. So that's how Artha Networks has been working through these various parallel channels of programming, on top of our own experience in the background as, an investment manager working in the context of a single family office. The sectors that we've seen the most activity and interest in include healthcare, education, agriculture, and certainly anything that falls under the wide umbrella of climate interventions. That can include last mile energy, it can include agriculture, it can include waste management, and anything that's regenerative and circular. So I think I'm speaking to a very wide range of interventions that we see. As Artha Networks works to support communities of practice in different places, we've seen a niche network that's grown entirely focused on emerging market health innovation and strengthening public health systems, for example. We've seen a platform that's very new that's coming up based on our architecture, focused on gender and climate, the nexus of, that's women-led funds, women-led solutions that address climate opportunities and challenges in their own communities. So it's a wide range. We're seeing both fund opportunities and direct investment opportunities that are arising in different pockets and places. And what we're trying to do is just connect the dots, enhance visibility, offer tools for collaboration, because no single funder, foundation, or family office has enough to actually solve any one of these problems. So we're trying to make it kind of a concerted effort of syndication and collaboration, and that's exactly what we hope to bring to bear to AFoCO. I think AFoCO represents such a unique opportunity for learning and leverage for private capital purveyors in other regions. Not only is it a rich member-driven network with so much substance and so much meaningful programming that we see as untapped at the moment, I think there's a lot of value that can be unlocked if we're able to frame the AFoCO pipeline and the projects in the countries that they sit as investable over the long term. We're particularly interested in how the market-based solutions are couched and embedded inside the nature-based solutions, and where there are opportunities for particularly livelihoods and income generation programming to be scaled. These are the types of things that impact investors find compelling and interesting, because they're both driven by positive business models that evolve over time, but also predicated on the idea that people's lives will improve if these operations are successful. So that's what's exciting for us as we learn more about AFoCO's portfolio and figure out how to be a constructive support.